What is up, y'all? Lyndon, are you in the background here?
I am in the background. I'm here.
You coming on camera, my friend?
No, I'm going to let you do this one on your own.
Well, all right. Are you going to intro us in?
Well, I was going to let you do that, but I'll let everybody know. Right now, we're having some connectivity issues with our host, Mr. Brian Poduska. This is the Real Talk with Brian Poduska show. And so we are winging it on the fly, which is I put all the pressure on loan officer Mark. And so that most of you can understand just how good he is under pressure. That way, if you ever need a mortgage, then he's going to be the guy, your go-to guy. So let me see if I think we may have Brian may be here and just he's still freezing up a little bit. But anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is working on your business rather than working in your business and how vital and important that is. And as I said, Mark is experienced with a lot of these videos. He's been doing this for a while, and he's got a few things going himself. So I'm going to let him take control today. And Mark, if you're ready, I'm going to cue you up. But go ahead and talk a little bit about who you are. Movement Mortgage.
Before we talk about me, man, I am going to give Brian a proper introduction, whether he is here or not. Welcome to the show, y'all. This is Real Talk. It's normally hosted with Brian Poduska. You've got your guy with you here today, Loan Officer Mark. I'm going to hold down the spot. Everybody knows that we kind of do things live and we fail forward. And so that's exactly what we're going to live out today. Real Talk has been a pleasure to be a part of. We go over a number of different topics that are super relevant to any entrepreneur. We focus a lot in real estate. We talk mortgages, we talk DFW markets, we talk other markets, and it's always a good time. We have an amazing theme that we are talking about this show, that we are talking about over the next couple of weeks to come. And it is the favorite for me, which is the conversation and the discussion of working in your business versus working on your business. So as a independent business owner, as a loan officer myself, I know I have struggled with this throughout my entire career, but over 2021, I have put a massive focus specifically on working on my business. And so I want to, give Lyndon his proper dues and rights as well. Thank you, Lyndon, for putting on the show. And with that being said, let's bring on my amazing co-host, Kendra. I cannot pronounce Kendra's name for the life of me. I am sure she has the same exact problem when it comes to me. But Kendra, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, the last name is pronounced Strawn, like there's a W in there. Yeah, I know. But funny enough, within the next 6 months, it'll be a different last name. So, but I'll still keep Strawn on Facebook because I've had that last name for 30 years. So, but yeah, so I'm excited.
Congratulations are in order.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do.
And since we're on the topipic, Lyndon as well, my friend. Congratulations on your recent engagement.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah. You too.
Thank you.
What's your month, Kendra? When are y'all getting married?
November.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we got yours in November. We got Dustin Payne in November.
Oh, that's when his is. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, and then ours is going to be in February. So a lot of weddings coming up.
Don't worry, y'all. I'm still single, so don't worry at all.
Well, and my oldest son's getting married at the end of May. So yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff, lots of weddings. So
awesome. We do not let COVID hold us back around here. So Kendra, obviously I know a lot about you and the value that you bring, but just for those that don't know exactly who you are, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the company you work with, and then if you could just give us a nice little introduction to your special guest who I'm looking forward to speaking with as well.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. So I'm, like Mark said, I'm Kendra Strawn. I am with Fair Texas Title. I work in the Plano and North Dallas office. And so pretty much that region of Collin County. However, I work with a lot of agents that are all over the area, but mainly our Plano and our North Dallas areas. I am our sales rep, and I have a team. I have a sales assistant, Stella Carr, who helps me with all just to stay sane because we go between 2 offices. But we have an amazing group of people that we support. We have 3 escrow officers, and actually we are looking to hire a 4th, looking for someone for the book of business and someone that does not like drama, because there's a bunch of women working in our office and we don't like drama anyways. But I'm very fortunate to work for a gentleman who his family is like 3rd generation title. His father was started Hexter Fair, and when that was sold because of illness, went to First American, and Britt was there for about 3 years, I believe, until the non-compete expired, and he opened us up about a little less than 6 years ago. He opened up Fair Texas Title. We've grown to 11 offices. We are still expanding, looking at different areas where the need is, and the nice thing about us is that we have such a good background in title, and all of our escrow officers have years and years and years of experience, that you're not just getting a small local company, you're getting somebody who realizes the importance of having that relationship with our agents, with our lenders, with your clients, that we appreciate the fact that you need to build that sphere and have those clients to be, that you're constantly staying in front of them, as well as honestly is doing a very good job at pulling title and finishing the job. So we have 6 underwriters that we can go to, whereas some of the bigger corporate just have their one. And we really work hard to be the finest closing experience in Texas. And that is our motto, and that's what we really work hard to do. But I love to connect people, and I love to help people work on their business and in their business, doing both. And there's definitely a difference. And I'll have a story later to tell about an agent I sat with who I really couldn't get her to think outside of herself, to realize she was doing a great job in something, but it wasn't going to get her anywhere. So I'll get to her, get it through. But it was interesting because it really made me think of, okay, people that are really going places are really, they know where they need to be and what they need to do it. But one of the people that helps my agents do that is Mandy Jackson. She is an amazing person who has this awesome event planning. I call it event planning, even though to me it's like a real estate event planning company. She basically, and I feel awful because I just know her by Mandy Jackson and don't even know. Isn't that terrible, Mandy? You're going to shoot me for the name of your company. I have to admit it. But she basically helps agents with taking a look at what they need and where they're at to get to that next level. So she has agents that are already in that top producing area, and they really, really want to stay there, and they're willing to spend a little bit more money, but they're not going to just do mail outs. They're going to do events. She kind of helps people label themselves and define themselves so that they basically can really stay in front of people. And it's in a different way. And it's kind of something that we also do. All of our offices are doing monthly pop by and postcards. And she just follows right along with that because she does that. And she's going to kind of assist me in my offices and my agents and getting out there and really getting in front of their people so that they're not forgotten. So that when they decide they need that realtor, that's the person they call. But she's just is fun and really thinks outside the box. So she's just one of these great contacts that I got from an agent. She supports Andrea Miller with Keller Williams DPR. And I was just so thankful when we got in touch with her and we got, in tune. So that's Mandy.
Well, that is an awesome introduction. Lendon, why don't you bring Mandy to the world? And Mandy, welcome to the show. Welcome to Real Talk. I am holding it down for our friend Brian. He is here in spirit, not here technologically speaking now. Mandy, I know, I have no idea when, but I know we're connected on Facebook. I know you have a Facebook group. I know you do a ton within the space, but I guess if we didn't do you proper justice, just tell us a little bit in your words, a little bit about your career, what you're doing right now, and how we got here.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Kendra. I always love to collaborate with you. So my name, as she mentioned, is Mandy Jackson. My business is actually called Leads, and that's kind of what we do is I help realtors generate leads in normal and natural ways by strengthening your sphere of influence. So my background is actually not in the real estate industry, so that's kind of something unique. My background is in events and client engagement. So I've been a wedding planner, which sounds like it's appropriate for this particular group that we're with today. I've done some marine christenings for our U.S. Navy. I've done big conferences. I've done smaller retreats, and I've everything in between. Like, if you can dream it, I've probably planned it. When I moved here to Texas from Washington, D.C., I became a stay-at-home mom pretty quickly and abruptly. And my realtor actually hired me on as what we called like a client care coordinator. So I helped do all their events and their pop buys and kind of help them take that off their plate so they could focus on money-making activities like transactions, closings, open houses, kind of all those other things that you have. And so once I did that and I went to conferences and I met other agents, I realized there was a gap in the market and that I could help agents. And I've been doing that ever since. I broke out on my own, started my own company, and it has been helping clients, helping realtors do events and pop buys and just really unique ways to connect with their sphere of influence.
Love it. Love it. And I also love that my man Brian is coming on the show. It's crystal clear. Brian, I've been holding down the fort for you, man, and I hope you got to hear at the very end of Mandy introducing herself. Mandy, event planning, people that until they actually plan an event and coordinate it and actually run it, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. So appreciate you for bringing that to the presence on the stage here. I know there's going to be a lot that we're going to jump into, but with Brian having joined the show, man, Brian, when are we going to get you some new Wi-Fi, man? What's going on?
Dude, you know, another technological curveball here, and apparently the Wi-Fi in the building is supposed to be working, but rebooted a few times. Guess what? I just went to my cell phone, put my own hotspot on. Desktop's running off my cell phone, so go figure. Who needs freaking Wi-Fi, right?
Right.
No excuses around here, man.
No, we persevere. That's how we do.
Heck yeah.
Well, Mandy, it's good to see you. So luckily, I do know, I'm blessed to know Mandy from previous introductions that we've had. So welcome to the show. Glad to have you finally on, because we've talked about having you on the show for a bit now. So cheers to Kendra on bringing you on. Mark, Kendra, good to see you guys. Lennon, I'm guessing you're lurking somewhere there in the background.
Always lurking.
What's up to you?
I was lurking.
All right. Well, he's not listening if he's lurking. Well, good. I'm glad you guys persevered without me, because I'm certainly more of a hindrance than anything else. I might as well just get out of here. But Mark, do you have your guest coming on?
You know, I mean, Murphy's Law, man. When one thing goes, everything goes. We're going to have my guest on a future episode. But Brian, I did begin by letting us know, or letting the audience know a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. And it's really a continuation of the conversation that we started over these last couple of weeks. So I know you are a man of preparation. Why don't you reintroduce the topic, and let's have you get us right on in.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you. And again, thanks for rocking on without me. So last month we focused on business development and had some awesome conversation around that. Had some really good learnings, good sharing, good stories that were told by our guests. And this month we're kind of diving a little bit deeper into that topic on a little more focused topic, and that is working on your business rather than in your business. And how do you avoid, I'm 1 for 1 now this month. I'm batting 1,000 for the month of August, because I will screw that up as we go. So just be aware of that. But the key focus being, how do you separate yourself from getting into the mundane day-to-day, probably necessary in some cases, but also definitely not necessary in a lot of cases? How do you stop from getting bogged down and all of that stuff, removing yourself, putting yourself up here and focusing on the big picture and working on your business and the growth of that business and the business development? So that's kind of the tie back to last month and the deeper dive that we're going to do this month. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Mandy, I know I gave you a little bit of heads up as far as what the topic was, so hopefully you've been thinking from that angle.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's just dive right into the topic. I mean, we've got 4 of us here, and if Lendon's lurking in the background somewhere, he can chime in because I know he's got some good thoughts on the topic. But when we say that term, right, it's a fairly commonly heard and used term that's thrown around somewhat loosely. I just kind of defined it how I view it through my lens. But does anybody have a different perspective on what working on the business versus working in the business?
Well, I can share what I witnessed firsthand or have seen with agents. And I had an agent in my office, like I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And she came in and she had everything that she's doing. We discussed everything she's doing now to try to get leads and to try to get business. But she's having trouble getting business. So I sat down with her just to say, okay, again, what are you doing? Where are you at? Who's your broker? And she's fairly new, and she went with a broker that's very low or no cost, which unfortunately I don't recommend. And I have done it before because I've been in real estate related work for 10 years now. And I went with a broker that didn't give a lot of training. And I spent a year at that and switched fast and went to a larger house. And it was the smartest thing I did because you get the training and you get the support. It may cost you more, but in the long run, you'll make more. And then you can stay there or go anywhere you want just because you've got that background. But so she's already started somewhere where she's not getting a lot. She's having to look at it all online. She doesn't really have someone she can really talk to or go into an office or go and meet with a bunch of people and get that feedback. But she kind of went through everything, and she has all these sites she goes to pull things for her newsletter, and she has all these places she goes, and she's to do a logo and to do all this and to do that. It's all this busy work. And I kept trying to divert her back to, so where are you looking for leads? Is there a neighborhood or two that you were trying to farm? Where you live currently? Is that a neighborhood that you're renting, you own, or you're an apartment that you would like to go after those individuals? Is it 300, 400, 500 homes? I can find that for her. I can figure out exactly all that information. And I could never get her to stop telling me about all of what the websites and the newsletter and the her cards she's doing and all of this, because she's actually doing some things that make a lot of sense. But I couldn't get her back to the fact of, who are you going after? Who is your sphere of influence? Who are the area you want to talk to? Do you have the ability to go into an office and take lead calls and to take phone calls and answer calls? Like some of the brokerages, you go in and you have phone hours when you're new, because that's a great way that's what they want you to do. So you get some leads. So it was really interesting because I realized very fast that she was just working in her business. She wasn't working on getting leads. She was doing all the right little things that they tell you to do. But unless you've got this sphere to send it to, or a neighborhood, or you've got a goal as to, I want to try to own this, what we call own this neighborhood, or own this area, or I have somebody who's the condo queen, who she basically wants to own a couple, condo areas and then some other areas. But it's like they have a vision as to how to get there. And that's where I've got to work harder with her to get her there. But it was just like, it just hit me fast and just hit me in the face. Like, she's not working in her business. She's just, she's not working on it. She's just working in it. She's just doing all the little things here by, to get it done. So that was real interesting.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of us find ourselves in that position, not just that one individual agent, but agents all over the country, all over the DFW, lenders, real producers that are out there that are producing and continue to need to take time and sit back and work on that magic word that you just mentioned, Kendra, vision. And I think a lot of that just comes from literally taking a step back and looking at your business and looking at what do you want it to look like, and who is your avatar, and should that be your avatar to begin with? But a lot of it just comes, the challenge really comes from all of us in a way being out on our own separate islands, right? And right now we have a coach for everything, and we have a course for everyone, and we have every sort of shiny toy out there for us to buy. when all we really need to do is go internally. And so I have a feeling that Mandy knows exactly what I'm talking about. And Mandy, I mean, you work with agents. I know you've got some lenders that you're working with as well. Come on into the conversation. I know you've got a very unique and appreciated perspective that I look forward to hearing.
Yeah, I actually, when I heard the topic, I was looking forward to it because this is something that I talk with my agents every single day, day in, day out, and kind of focus in like, well, where are your energies? What are you doing? I think being a realtor, you have a unique set of challenges. And I think that one of the most challenging things that realtors face is there's constantly someone knocking on your door, like title companies, lenders, the builders, their current clients. People want something from them right now. This very minute, this very second. And it's all urgent all the time. But the one group or category that's not urgent is like your sphere of influence and your pipeline and working on building that pipeline and working on your business. That's not an urgent right now thing. So it's really easy to say, you know what, I got to get back to the builders. I've got to get back to the inspectors. I'll work on this portion later. It like reminds me of this wonderful client that I have, and she's one of my all-time favorites. But when we first met, she told me, like, do you know what? I know that I need to give closing gifts. Like, I'm a top producer. Like, this has happened to many clients. I know, but I get so caught up in like making sure it's the perfect thing. You know, you want to make sure it's like the perfect thing, that I get so caught up and it takes up so much of my brain power that I just don't do it. I just don't do it because it's too much. And I have heard that story over and over again, but in different scenarios. Like I've heard clients like, I wanted to do Popeyes, but I leave them in my trunk. Or I wanted to do an event and I planned the whole thing, but I was too nervous to send out the invitations. Like I hear this every day. And I'm here to tell you the best way to work on your business is to kind of streamline some of these things. Streamline different processes that you can. So for example, a closing gift, if that's something that's just like consuming you, spend a day, or even less. It will honestly really only take you 2 to 3 hours. Come up with what you want to do and source them, package them, wrap them, and then keep like 10 to 20 or 30, depending on how much volume you do. Keep a stash in your office wrapped and ready to go. And if you need it, you can then when you have that closing, you're not constantly like, oh no, I got to go to 10 stores. I got to figure it out. And it just takes that whole thing away. So you can focus on what's really king for realtors, which is relationships. The relationship is the most important thing, building it, maintaining it, helping it, nurturing those relationships. And as you streamline some of these processes and some of these different things that actually take a lot of time, if you do onesie, twosie, streamline it, and then it will free up and it'll make you more available to build relationships, which will then build your pipeline. And that's the ultimate goal.
Or even easier, all they need to do is pick up the phone and call Mandy and say, Mandy, I need a closing gift. Hook me up.
Yes. Well, with some clients, what we have it set up where their transaction coordinator will email me while they're doing all their things. Hey, we have a closing. This is the day, the time, the place. And we get it there. Outsourcing is great if you can do it. I know that that's not realistic for some agents. So work to get to that point, of course. But in the meantime, find ways to streamline your own business in any way that you can, whether that's outsourcing or doing it yourself or getting an assistant. It will save you.
And that's what we tell agents too. If they're getting to the point where they're bogged down just in entering their information in the MLS, well, have you talked to a transaction coordinator? Have you figured out that you could actually save more money and make more money by having a transaction coordinator that can input all your items? They're only charging you by the quote transaction, which means the whole contract. And it's the smartest thing to do. It's that outsourcing. And the other thing is trying to get people and I've even gotten myself into this habit as well as my assistant is if we're out and about and we're just shopping for the family or for myself and I see something and I'm like, oh, that's half off. And that could go in a basket for an agent for a thank you gift or a happy birthday gift or a Christmas gift. I buy those and we have a huge gift area in all of our offices. So it's already there ready to go. We know if we've got something that we need to present to one of our agents or a lender or even to a client. So I have one of theirs. So because we'll even help out if, oh my goodness, I forgot and there's their birthday today. So it's it's almost like you get to the point where you never stop thinking about it. It's your business becomes just every day. That's what we do. It's part of our life, and it's just who we are.
And we call it the grind.
Yes, we do. We call it real estate.
And hopefully you love what you do, because it can be over consuming. It can be, it can take over your life if you're not careful. And I think, Mandy, you touched on a subject with outsourcing, right? And Mark, I heard you chime in. I think you said something to the effect that you want to challenge.
I'm going to disagree. And I think, I don't know if it was on this show, but I talk about it all the time. I guess before I jump into the way that my brain works, which is really just going down a list of, do I need to do this? If I do, can I automate it? If I can't automate it, can I delegate it? If I can't delegate it, do I really need to do it? And if I really don't, then get that out of my life and delete it and call it dead, because that's what I do. But I think, in a way, none of us can get outside of our business until we do the number one thing, which is actually have a business plan and a strategy and a compass and a target. And from there, we can now set incremental micro targets to give us a sense of achievement, to create that motivation and the kind of the what should you say, the confidence in yourself and your ability to execute, because from there it really isn't that difficult. Now, I have been working on this literally this entire year. It has been super difficult for me. I am not a plan things out and write them down and then go do. I am the executive. I am the one that's literally telling everybody to go do this, this, and that, because if we do it that way, then we will be able to make it work. And I have had to go the complete 180 on myself and literally go to war with myself and literally write down step by step, from before a lead comes in or a call comes in, what happens next, and literally mapping out from start to finish. And in all reality, our finish, aka closing, is really the beginning, right, of our relationship with our homeowner. And literally writing it down and getting removed from all of the distractions and inbound noise and requests. And like you were saying, actually now I can't remember, I think it might have been Mandy, when everything is a 911 emergency, nothing is a 911 emergency. So literally the only 911 emergency that we as operators have is, how do we go from where we are today to where we want to go? And you cannot do that until you really take a look from a 50,000 foot view. And then you can get down to the, well, somebody needs to speak with them before we actually do a buyer consultation. Does that really need to be you? Like, agent, does that actually really need to be you? Or can you delegate or automate a human who is customer focused to go out there and have those conversations? And do we really need to be out there driving and picking up our first sale signs? Or can we outsource that and pay somebody for pennies on the dollar versus what we are earning ourselves? We're in one of the highest paid professions, and we have a completely uncapped income potential, other than ourselves literally limiting ourselves. Because again, we think everything is a 911, and we don't give ourselves the time and the space to take a step back and say, is this going to drive my business tomorrow? Or is this just need to get done later today? So that's where I would push back and challenge. There's a ton of providers and, again, shiny toys for gift giving. And so I would say there is no reason why a producer should be allowing that to stay in their head of, what should we get? That is not something that is a top priority for you. You as the operator, your top priority is, how do you drive yourself and your team to where you want to go? And so I would say we got to start with, where do we want to go first?
Mark, you nailed it up front, and then you just closed it with that last comment. And that the point being that in order to work on your business, you need to know where the hell you're going, right? You need to have a goal. You need to have, a plan to get there. So as a new business owner, Mandy, I want to get your perspective on this. You've been in business for, and I missed all the details when you kind of introduced yourself, but roughly a year and a half, something like that?
Yeah, I'm pretty new.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So how, for you, number one, did you put together a business plan? I already know the answer because I talked to you before about it.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend on it? And how often do you reflect back on that business plan?
So this is a funny question because Brian knows we've talked before, but I have done events for so long. I'm obviously pretty type A because you have to be if you're doing events, especially the like lots. And so when I was working for the other realtor, I loved it, but I saw the opportunity. So I spent over 6 months building my plan, which is actually probably too much and a little bit ridiculous, but kind of like really thinking it through, like, am I going to do this? How is it going to work? I tinkered with it for over a year. Like I had thought about it for over a year, but I really like hit it hard 6 months prior to like starting my business. So 6 months hard work. Like, here's what I'm going to do. What will the processes look like? How can I really, truly offer a benefit to my agents? And I will say that's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. It was tedious, and my husband was making fun of me nonstop because he actually is a business consultant. And he was like, just go, like, just go. I'm like, could you consult me a little more? And so there is that like fine line that I personally struggle with too, of like actually like ripping the Band-Aid off and just like going. I do look at my business plan frequently. Like I look at it almost weekly probably, but I will say it's constantly changing, it's fluid. It's not like, here's my business plan and this is what it's going to have to be. But there'll be different things like, oh, well, there's an opportunity that actually could lead me in a different direction than what I thought, where I want, what could possibly happen, and it actually is a little bit better. So I'm going to switch this and shift some things around and focus in different areas. So I do reflect on it often, but it is a constantly changing thing.
That's awesome, because that was going to be my follow-up question is, how similar are your current activities tied to your original business plan, knowing damn well they probably weren't anywhere close, or they're probably close, but not at all how you thought you'd get there. Because as many business owners as we've had on the show, my own personal experience, like you, I had a business plan. I have a business plan. It's constantly evolving. How the heck I generate clients is constantly evolving. And then I have a monthly sit down conversation with a coach that, all right, here, what metrics are we going to cover? And the key metrics are, how many people are you talking to? How many properties did you pick up? How many sales did you name it. There's a gamut of different metrics that we're going over. And then it's strategy, right? Like what strategies do you have in place? What's working? What isn't working? How do you get that one that you want to get on track? Like you said, Mark, how do you dump the ones that aren't working, that aren't necessary? So it's really that fine tuning as you go. So I always love hearing from new business owners. Picture yourself a year down the road, or when you hit that year mark, where were you versus what you thought you were going to be as far as whatever metric you want. Let's call it revenue or number of clients in your case, maybe. Yeah. Where were you versus where you thought you were going to be? And then number two, how much different was it getting there than you thought it would be?
Can I add a number 3 in there?
I hope I remember them all. I should have written them down. Okay, yes.
So good thing, Mandy, this is all recorded, girl, so we can always go back and all the gems and nuggets. I've been, honestly, up until probably 2018, I never had a business plan. And in reality, I was always a middle of the road producer, never really wanted to be the number one, never really had big aspirations, and kind of just wanted to get in, get out, and keep my head down, which you guys I can see Kendra shaking her head like, this guy, really? But I have been focusing and talking with agents about business planning for these last couple of years. We do a lot of workshops focused on business planning. And the one thing that I would say, Brian, you missed out on, which is a massive thing that everybody needs to include in their business plan is a why. Why does this shit matter, y'all?
Right.
If you don't have that figured out, and that doesn't, it's not an actual, like, it doesn't make you feel something. It doesn't make, like, I just felt the shivers go on my arm. If you don't have that, then that's where we got to put our focus. And so the what and the how matter, but the why at the end of the day, that's the shit that's going to wake us up in the morning and not let us go to bed at night knowing that we still got some things that we got to do to make sure that our business is on track. So that's the one thing I would add in there.
Yeah, that's a good call, because there's many a times, especially as we're going on the working in the business part of it, right? When you're knee deep in shit, so to speak, right? And you're like, I'm so sick of this. You deal with one more shitty client or
one more hangout, one more no, one more anything. And at one point or another, we all have enough, right?
But here's something I think that's very important. And I think that in some of the coaching circles that I've been around, I think that they misread this. And one of the things that I think we have to do, Mark, this goes to your why. We have to, first of all, you have to have self-awareness. The other thing, and I'll get to this later, but if you're not doing a SWOT analysis every 3 months, Brian, you talked about this. If your business plan isn't changing, then you're either not growing or you're not getting worse, one or the other, because a business plan should be evolving as much as your business does. But the thing that I think that helps us with the why, number one, what fuels you? What gets you excited about your career? What gets you excited about helping and serving somebody tomorrow versus what deflates your energy? And we all have it. We got into business to do something, not everything. And be honest about it, right? I didn't get in business to do all of this. I got in business to do this because this was fun. And it provided an income that was fun. But I don't want the other crap. And so that's where we have to start looking at either outsourcing or hiring, training, and managing, which that can sometimes be tedious for us as well. And then you've got to have those connections and get the right people that you trust. But if we're not, I think we have to be honest with ourselves and go, I can't be all things to everybody, and I can't be all things to this business. I have to have some help. And the biggest mistake that I've ever made, I was telling Mandy this before the show started. When I had the 2 health clubs, I had about 40 employees, and I was a glorified babysitter. I hired people from 17 years old to basically 23, 24. And it was like telling your kids to pick their shoes up out of the floor, to make sure they get the line. I mean, that's all I did all day long. And I did that for 18 hours a day. And when I got out of that, because I just burned out on it after many years, and I started a business, I didn't want to have any employees. None. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody else. I was tired of it. I knew that I would do what I needed to do, but I didn't want to train them and have them quit, because that's a waste of time, right? So the lesson that I learned in that is you also can't grow. All you are is an employee of yourself, and that's as big as you're ever going to get. And there is a cap to how much revenue you can produce working by yourself. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, so there's a better way. You don't have to be a babysitter, but you also can't do this solo unless if you want to get anywhere. So I had to start looking at what part of this job do I really want to do? Am I good at? Where can I serve my needs, and where can I serve everybody else's needs? And all of the rest of this, I've got to get some help with. So I wanted to throw that in there because I think it ties into
huge, man.
Everything that you guys are saying.
Self-awareness, I mean, both having it and the lack of is literally the difference between a successful entrepreneur and the other side of it.
But being honest in that self-awareness, and that's something it's hard for us to do, because we don't, in coaching that I've done, a lot of times people don't want to really get down and compare themselves to the competitor. They don't want to compare themselves to the guy or girl that's ahead of them, and they don't want to compare themselves to the guy or girl that's chasing them. They just want to
Unless you're
compare
entitled.
You better. Here's the thing about it. If we're watching
We
others,
love to compare ourselves.
right? If we're watching others, we can see their victories, but we can see their mistakes.
Yep.
And that's what we need to be doing. We need to look out there and see that person that is an innovator.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They've already spent all the money. Right? They've already paid for their mistakes. Now show me how they did it, and I'm going to adopt it to my style, and I'm going to grow with it. And so many of us are afraid to do that because we're afraid that, again, and I say this all the time, if you're watching people on social media, you only see the highlight reels. You don't see their struggles. You don't see the money that they're spending, if they're bleeding out somewhere. And so a lot of times we're afraid to take a look because we think that we're the only ones suffering. And that's just not true. If we dig down into these others, we're going to start to see and identify their mistakes. That's what the SWOT analysis is for, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you're doing that on a consistent basis with yourself and with your competitors, it's going to reveal so much that's going to save a lot of time.
Yeah, and I think the SWOT analysis, Landon, it really lends itself to exactly what you're talking about, self-awareness. And if it's not yourself, there's the self-awareness. Yes, that's underlying all of it, but it's also business self-awareness, right? So what is your business? You have to be aware from all different angles what your business is doing, how it can improve the O in SWOT, right? The threats, if you're not aware of what your competition's doing, or if you're sleeping on whatever innovation they're coming up with and you're not somehow incorporating that or just poo-pooing it, then at the end of the day, you're going to lose.
Right.
And I'll give an example of everything you just talked about was me basically reaching out to Mandy and saying, okay, I can't do this on my own anymore. I tried this for 1 month and I'm looking forward to the next 2 months. And yes, I have an assistant and I have more help in both offices, but I can't do it. I need you to help me. And yeah, so that's why we also recommend our property management. That's exactly. If we have clients that I know and I've done it, I've recommended them to them. That basically, I can handle this by myself. This 1 or 2 places. I'm like, no, you can't. Just wait.
Right.
You're going to throw me out. And so I reached out to her.
Yeah, I joke, Kendra, but that's exactly what we do, right? That we take the burden of managing a property off of somebody's hands because they realize, oh boy, I've gotten to I was self-managing. I thought I was saving all this money, but it's driving all kinds of headaches and pains. And now I've got 4 or 5 properties and I have a day job and I can't do it all. I need help, right? Yeah. And that's why people reach out to us. But so, Mandy, that's what you do. You are the outsource. You are the streamline. Right.
Yeah. And both of us are actually kind of that way. Both of us kind of take that burden for our clients and say, hey, do you know what? We'll take this on and you keep doing your business and you keep doing what you need to do and we'll handle the rest. And when it comes to reaching out and asking for help, I know that it gets to a point where like, is this worth it? Is it not? I think that if people really were self-aware and knew what their goals were and were looking forward to their business, as they sat down, they would realize like the ROI is most likely there if they utilize things in the right way. Instead of just frivolously spending on all the different opportunities, but if they really focus like on their goals, how they want to get there, and then they just discover, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to outsource this one part. I would say most of the time the ROI would totally be there.
And that's one of the things I was trying to explain to the one agent and I meet with many agents during the week and talk and on the phone and text and meet. But this gal I was like, okay, some of the things you're doing, I do on a regular basis for my agents. I do that. I have a folder, on my hard drive and my desktop for every single agent that sent me headshots and logos. And I come up with their postcards and their flyers and kind of do their own thing for them. And I take that away from them so they don't have to worry about it. And there's certain things I need them to do for me so that I can get it done when they need it. But I kept trying to explain to her, you're doing all these things, but you're not getting any leads. I can take that on for you. It's not going to be as intricate because she was being so intricate in it. It was like, it was too much. But I'm like, I can take that on and be that value for you and help you get leads and help you get more business.
So I want to ask you all a question real quick, because I think this is important. I think the people watching are going to want to know this. As a professional that has been where we're talking about the other people that are right now, Brian, you are a resource to take a lot of the responsibility away and let property managers do what they got into property management to do. They didn't get in there to do all the things you do. That's just the honest truth about it, right? That's your job. That's what you enjoy doing. That's why you started the business. Kendra, same thing, right? You're doing a lot of things. Mark, I know you do a lot of things behind the scenes for your real estate agents. Mandy, that's what your business is set up for, is to take these things off the plate. Here's the problem that most of us have. Who do I pick? Who can I trust? And how do I find them? I want y'all to talk about that a little bit, because that's the important part. That's one reason why we're doing shows like this, right? Because we want people to know who we are. But, you know, there's a million people out there saying, let me help you. But for a lot of these businesses, a lot of these real estate agents, sometimes that discretionary spending is kind of tight, and they don't want to drop a couple of $1,000 on something to see if it fails. So talk a little bit about how to find the right people to outsource to and partner with.
One of the things I tell the agents is ask your fellow agents. Ask other agents that you know that are successful who they're using. I have one that I met with a week ago and just did a 2 postcards for her. We're going to do a third. She wants to go after a certain area and neighborhoods, and I pulled the neighborhoods for her. And then she did some flyers because she's dog sitting in another neighborhood. And she said, you know, I'm over here for this whole week. I'm just going to go door knock. And I was like, okay. Got her flyers, got her printed, and made sure they were sent to another office. One of ours is near her. And mind you, I don't charge for my services. The only thing we charge for is the printing and the mailing. And that's through a service that does it. And our cost to our agents is probably a third to a quarter of what they'll find anywhere else. I know Mandy is able to also access some of those costs that are very, very low cost, because we have contracts with people that give us the bulk rate. But the interesting thing about this agent is she's a top producer, and she's been in the business for 20 years. And she has friends in other title companies that she utilizes. But she was like, she reached out to me after she got the printing and all that. She was like, nobody's ever done this for me. Nobody ever's offered to do this for me. She goes, I didn't even realize. She goes, I know you kept telling me what you could do. She goes, but now I see what you really can do and how valuable you are for someone like myself and for any agent. And I think, honestly, ask around. Ask your other agents that if you have a mentor, find out who really can assist you, and also kind of go to networking events. Go out to those events that you see posts all over the Facebook to find your people and meet people. You know, you go to an event and you go, I'll say, there's not even a realtor in the house, or there may be 2 or 3 that I already know. I always leave every networking event I'm at, or every happy hour that I don't go to that many, even though I think it looks like I do, I always meet at least 1 or 2 people that really are of value that I can pass on to someone else, or I can pass on back to my office, or they can assist me. So it's like you always will meet somebody of value, no matter what. And that's how I got it.
I've got a one-word answer to your question, Lyndon, which I'm going to share here. But first, I do want to mention who our sponsors are. So let's take a minute before I expound on my one word here and expand. First sponsor, who we got, Lyndon?
Wines with an Appeal.
Wines with an Appeal. All right, Mr. Tom Rose, business. We talk about outsourcing, right? A lot of businesses. Most businesses should have a goal for fundraising of some sort of, give back to the community. Well, that's what Wines with an Appeal is. It's a company dedicated to assisting people fundraise for their favorite nonprofit organization. They provide a fun and educational program to entertain your donors and increase their wine knowledge. Key, wine knowledge, there's wine involved, right? That could potentially cost a fundraiser absolutely nothing. Tom is awesome at running these. They're fun. You learn a ton about wine, and you actually have the opportunity to purchase wines that aren't widely available at all the places we shop for wine at. So if you want to get in touch with Tom, send an email to tom@wineswithanappeal.com or call him at 214-621-5216 for more information or to schedule your event. And then our second sponsor is Liberator Health Insurance. Greg Holdberg, who is a co-host on the show, owns Liberator Health Insurance. Liberator provides a deal of the week. This week's deal is a 54-year-old single parent with a 23-year-old daughter. Got a great plan for $460 a month. That's pretty shocking. If you were to do that same thing in the government marketplace programs that are out there, you'd be paying likely 3-4 times that, something like that. So what Greg has is again, we talk about outsourcing, right? You can go shop through all these different plans yourself, or you can call Greg and get educated on, tell him, hey, here's what I need. Here's my family situation. Here's our health situation. And let Greg outsource it, man. He will listen to you, listen to your needs, educate you on what you're looking for, and ultimately provide you an opportunity that could be way better than what you find on your own. So please reach out to Greg Holdberg. Again, he's a co-host on the show here, also a weekly sponsor. So I have personal experience with him. Call him up at 214-886-4688 to have him help you look for health insurance or something that could benefit you and your family. Okay. With that being said, I want to circle back to Landon's question about what is the one thing that you can do and really it comes down to awareness, right? So we all have these services that we offer. We can all outsource. We can all streamline. And my one-word answer to your question, Landon, is network. So Kendra touched on it, networking. And I'm dropping the ing from the word networking, and I'm saying just network. So because there's multiple ways to do networking and to build your network. And I'll add another word in there, and it's awareness. So awareness within your network and then awareness outside of your network. And if you don't have awareness in your network and you don't have a strong network, you're not going to have awareness everywhere else. And what we're doing here on the difference and what we're doing here on Real Talk, and all my co-hosts can attest to this, we're trying to build awareness and really within our network, right? And then as we're bringing more and more folks on and gaining that trust and giving personality and giving faces to names, and again, you're on the show, you've got a personality. It's not just a business at that point. It becomes, okay, somebody who I can know, like, and trust, or at least reach out to and develop that know, like, and trust aspect. So that's my long-winded one-word answer to your question, Leonard.
It's a great answer.
Yeah, well, I said enough words. One of them, or two of them hopefully made sense, but that's kind of my viewpoint.
Well, and I think that the way realtors find services and people to help them is the same way people find realtors. It's through word of mouth. Like, ask, how do people find a good realtor? Through words of mouth, through positive experience. Up here on my board, I have my favorite quote, and it's that people don't buy services and products. They buy relationships, stories, and magic. And that's something I kind of live by. Like, how can you provide your clients like the magic, that thing that people are looking for and wondering and they need? And that's something I personally pride myself on, is providing that magic for my clients and their clients, kind of those surprise and delights. And that's what people are looking for. That's what people need. They're not necessarily, if they know that the relationship is going to be there, the magic's going to be there, that's really all someone needs.
Good stuff.
I like the magic aspect. That carries a lot of weight. You know, Disney would agree with you, by the way.
I know. I live and breathe like magic. You know, that's the most important aspect personally for my business, is creating that magic, because that's really what's going to set our realtors apart from everyone else.
Well, it sets you apart too. If you can create magic out there, that's a pretty good selling point.
Yeah.
I say that seriously, but
yeah,
magic is pretty awesome.
I know, you can't beat it. It trumps all. Magic trumps all.
That's right. Well, that's awesome. So we never got back to my original question. I think Mark had a.
What was the original question?
Well, so it was directed at Mandy, and I wanted to know where she was at in her 1-year plan versus where she had originally laid it out. So I'm putting you on the spot. Where are you at with that?
So it's actually kind of laughable. When I first started my business, my goal was to pick up like 1 client a month, like for the whole month. Like, I'm just gonna I wish I was like a dive in the deep end person. I'm not. I'm like shallow end, like my pinky toe and like tiptoe in. So I was like, I just hope I pick up like a client a month. That's my goal. I think that, well, so far it's the 5th. So far a client a day is kind of what we're happening in August. It's been kind of bananas. I never imagined it would grow to what it's grown already. We're looking at like hiring assistants, and it's just kind of like every day. It's like, I need a shift. I need a pivot. Like, let's continue. So it's very different than where I originally started, and my goals are totally different than 1 client for a whole month. And I feel so blessed, and I love this community. I feel so blessed to be part of this community and to have built trust among some of these wonderful agents and to be part of their team and help them succeed. And watching their success stories has been so beneficial.
So you're a firm believer in setting the bar low, right? I
was going to jump on that. And there is a sort of magic in that, though, Brian, of setting the bar so low to the point where you doing something so minuscule is a win. And I don't remember exactly who in a book talks about it or public speaker out there, Jordan Peterson. And he is a firm advocate of set the bar low. Like set the goal for the day that you wake up when your alarm rings and you brush your teeth and you take a shower. And by the time you get your coffee, you're 3 wins deep into
Man,
the
I'm
day.
killing it every day then.
And at the end of the day, that gives you the confidence, right? To the point where you can go and look at your goals and go, 1 client a month. The hell was I thinking? And all of a sudden, it's again, like all of that energy that you get and the confidence that you build, it's going to be oozing out of you. And all of a sudden you go from, let me try to generate a lead here, generate a lead there, to you're attracting leads. And you are that magnet and that rainmaker. And that's what we have to be at the end of the day. And the people that we're setting the show for is those rainmakers that got to get out of their own way, just like myself. And sometimes it's as easy as just setting that bar that low for you to exceed it.
That's an awesome point. And I've always been, hey, set that bar high. And if you don't get it, okay, let's figure out how to get there, that sort of thing. But that, if you can consistently do that, it can beat you down. So yeah. I think that's a great perspective, Mark.
I've since shifted. I think it was more ignorance than anything, kind of like, who knows how this will go? Because I didn't know anyone else in this arena, this area that can help take this off clients. So I just didn't know. So I think, unfortunately, a lot of it was ignorance, and that's just me being vulnerable here. Like, that was it. I've since shifted, and my goals are a lot higher now. But it was, at the point, laughable.
Yeah, well, like you said, and Mark, you put it well. You can look back and be like, what the hell was I thinking? Because all of a sudden you're killing it, right? So yeah. No, that's awesome. So, all right, we're running out of time, guys. I apologize again for coming on late. If now I know my fallback plan is I can always rely on my cell phone hotspot. So I learned something new.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say rely on loan officer Mark, bro. What happened?
Well, dude, that's a given, right? So I didn't learn that new today. I just learned about my cell phone capability. But no, so Mandy, thank you for being our guest this week. Finally, I'm going to hold you to that one. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Kendra, thanks for bringing Mandy on. Mark, thank you for co-hosting as well. Look forward to seeing your guest on one of the upcoming shows that could make it today. Some awesome stories there, too, with serial entrepreneurs. So looking forward to having him on the show. Lendon, thanks for all that you do, as usual. We've got some cool things coming up with The Difference. Stay tuned for more details on that. i.e. happy hour, as part of the overall difference. So again, more details to come on that. We've been working on it. Len and I have had some conversations and some meetings. So more coming up on that. But again, we're going to drill deeper on this working on the business versus in the business topic next week. So tune in next week, Thursday, 2:00. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.